Guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be using Charlotte products, of course, right? I'm going to be sharing with you working at Charlotte, my experience and what I learned. If you want to know, if you're interested, keep watching.
Shady, ain't calling me baby. Why the sudden change? Say my name. If no one is around you, say baby I love you.
First thing we're going to start off with is skincare. Of course, I just washed my face, did a little bit of face wash and toner. Charlotte does have a toner. I personally just did not use it. I don't have it, I didn't purchase it. But first we're gonna start off with the Magic Eye Rescue. As you can see by the title of the video, I used to work for Charlotte Tilbury. Finally got it right, I used to say Tilbury. I used to work for the brand, and I worked for the brand. It was a little bit right before COVID, so 2019-ish, I worked for the brand. And I believe I was laid off during the pandemic, of course, but I worked for the brand in 2019. I worked for the brand at Nordstrom Century City Mall. That's like a mall that's like why'd I just do that? That's a mall that's in Beverly Hills. Well, it's Century City, but Century City is like down the street from Beverly Hills, but that's where I worked. And I believe I was the first Black girl to even work at that counter, like at that brand. So that was pretty cool. The Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. I absolutely love this magic cream. But this is the first creams that I actually brought. Not brought, but this is like one of the first creams I fell in love with. Want to apply it all over. Sorry if you hear the AC, it's hot. But this cream has aloe vera, so it helps soothe the skin. Charlotte has rosacea, so it also has something in it where it helps with rosacea. And it has hyaluronic acid, and hyaluronic acid locks in moisture. The story behind the cream is that she made this in her kitchen in a pot, you know, whipping it up. And she would do the Victoria's Secret fashion show, like the Victoria's Secret fashion show models with this magic cream. She would do their makeup with this, and she would have it in like her own like little jar, and they would ask her like, oh Charlotte, what is it that you're using? They loved it, it was so good. Yeah, so that's a little background there. So now that our skin is prepped, I'm just going to add a little bit more concealer to my eye, because this is the lighter concealer of the Charlotte one, because I did wipe some of it off. And her palettes, I do feel like you just need a base for it to stick to. So a little bit more of that concealer. Attracted me to the Charlotte brand. I first noticed the brand when I was working at the Grove in Nordstrom, 2018-ish. Sorry y'all, kind of off, I'm trying to remember. I worked for Laura Mercier. So I worked for Laura Mercier in 2018 at the Nordstrom Grove. The Grove is like an outdoor shopping mall in Los Angeles, very popular. You've probably already been. But I've noticed the brand because it was just like this beautiful counter. It had like all of this gold. It kind of gave me like an old vintage Hollywood type of aesthetic, and I love old vintage Hollywood. I even watched some of the old vintage movies. I was like, oh my god. And I was like looking at all these lipsticks, and she had like all these nudes. Her packaging pulled me all the way in. I also think that's just like a really good marketing tip, like how someone's packaging can just like will you in. So that was pretty good. So now I'm going to be using the eyeshadow palette in Copper Charge. I don't know if I've used this on my channel before. This is a more newer palette I picked up, but I haven't used it just yet. You guys know the Charlotte palette goes 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes in clockwise, and the instructions is also on the back of the palette. And I love how it's like a 4-pan palette, because the everyday woman does not want this huge Morphe eyeshadow palette. They want something easy. They want something that they can do without a makeup artist. They want something they can do at home. These palettes are perfect for that. And I remember them telling me that her Pop Shades, I don't know why, I don't know if this is true, but is the most expensive eyeshadow to make. Let's talk working for the brand with a lack of color and diversity in foundation in other shades. I'm going to use some Charlotte brushes. I don't have all my Charlotte brushes because I'm still unpacking, but Charlotte always keeps things to a minimum. So when I worked for the brand, I learned how to use less brushes. I'm going to take Copper Charge, and we're going to take this first shade here and just load up our fluffy brush. This is a Morphe brush. And we're just going to place that on the lid. going all the way up to the brow bone and in the inner corner. I remember working at the brand. They taught us that the first shade is considered her primer shade, but as I've said before, I do feel that her eyeshadows need concealer, or just like a base in general. I'm gonna take this second shade here. It's like more on the coppery side, and we're gonna place that in our crease. Working for a brand, you know, with a lack of color. I'm going to give one of my coworkers a shout out. Her name is Carol K. Carol with the K. She's now just like a makeup artist on set. I met her working at Nordstrom at the Grove, and she was with the brand when Charlotte had like maybe 8 foundations. Charlotte did not have a lot of foundations, y'all. She had very, very little. When I started working at Charlotte, that's when she came out with this foundation right here. She came out with this foundation, which the shades is pretty extensive. They can be better, but it's extensive. But before then, she had like maybe 8 colors, and it was the Magic Foundation. One thing I love about the Charlotte palettes is that whatever her formula is, they're really easy to blend. Some eyeshadows are not that easy to blend. I'm gonna take this matte copper shade with the Charlotte Smudger brush. It's like a dome shaped brush. And we're gonna just place this in the crease. Let's take our final pop shade and we're gonna place it on the lid. This camera and lighting doesn't know justice. It looks so pretty in person. Take the, just like a thinner brush. This is like a Tom Ford brush, and I like to go back in with Copper Charge, but I want to put it more in the crease again and focus it on the outer corner. I drag it upwards a little bit. Pop shade and throw it right on the lid. I'm like using all the products that came out when I was working for the brand. I love this eyeshadow. It's like a sunset. It reminds me of a sunset. And I always like to take that first shade again and just go over the brow bone at the top and kind of soften it out. After that, we're gonna go in with my favorite liner. This is Barbrella Brown. One of these liners is not meant for the waterline, but I forgot. So I'm just gonna use this. The Sophia liner will be perfect, but I don't know where mine is at. It's somewhere. I'm just going to take it and wing it at the lower lash line. For the brand with a lack of color, you basically have to find your own way. Like, you have to make products that they did not make for you work for you. Probably ask like, well, why did you work for this brand? Number one, I knew the brand sold. Okay, I would see how busy it was when I worked in the sales retail. I saw how busy it was, and when you work in sales retail, you have a goal to make, and if you don't make that goal, you can get written up, you can get fired. You have to make sales. So I like business. I like business. I like numbers. Comma, 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 0, 0, 0. I like numbers. I like business, and I like making goals. Like, I'm goal oriented. When I worked for the brand, I was like, okay, well, this brand sells. It sells. They do like a lot of makeup appointments. They were always busy. An opportunity, not only I can make my hourly, but I can make commission on top of that hourly. Be well at my job because this brand, it sells. Working for the brand, didn't really have a ton of foundation shades when I first got there, and then they released this one, which is the Airbrush Flawless Foundation. Then I started to get more into the brand. I started to play with the products as I was at the counter. We're going to be applying the Hollywood Flawless Filter. I'm in the shade number 7. I'm actually a shade 6, but I do like the 7 because it is a little bit more on the red side. Now this product cannot even stay on the shelf, and I'm so shocked because when I worked for the brand, we had so many of these in stock. I mean, piles on top of piles, you know, in the back on stock. But I think it went viral on TikTok. Somebody made it viral, and now you can't even get it. But this, she created this product to kind of mimic a filter. It gives like the perfect glow without being, you know, shimmery. So we're just gonna blend this out with a damp beauty sponge. I like to put it on the T-zone of my face. And for foundation, we're going to be using Charlotte's Beautiful Skin Foundation. This is a new one. I forgot what shade I am. I have a video on this. I'll link it up there, but I forgot my shades. Her skincare foundation. I'm going to just use a little bit of a pump. Use this Charlotte brush, and it has another end. Matter of fact, I keep forgetting to use this product. This is a really good color corrector if you're looking for color correction. This one here, this is in the color number 4. It's like a little tiny guy, but it's really good for color correction. I'm just going to add a little bit here. What I love about this product is that it's really creamy, because that's my problem area, like around my mouth, my pigmentation. I'm gonna blend out that foundation we put on. I need a little bit more. What I would do to make some of the colors work for me is I would mix foundations. And also Charlotte didn't have the color lip liner that I liked or that was good enough. I'm not gonna use that brush. That brush is taking forever to blend. They didn't have the color lip liner I liked. So what I would do is I would just use the Max Chestnut lip liner. I would use the Max Chestnut and just put the nudes in the middle, because Charlotte has some nudes, honey. If you're looking for a nude lipstick, she has a lot of nudes. I barely ever used this foundation and seems like nothing's in here. Used it like twice. If you work for a brand where they don't really have your color, you can use things like maybe their face powder. You can use it for their under eye powder. We're going to get into that later. Maybe their lipsticks, you can use a darker one as a liner and a lighter one in the middle, even though you shouldn't have to, because there should be shades for everybody. But I had to make these things work. Working at this brand, I had to wear the makeup. The shadows wasn't really an issue. We just had to put like a concealer under them, but when it came down to color, I had to mix and use things for other things on my face in order to make it work. But like I said in the beginning, it taught me when someone doesn't make something for you, I don't get mad, I don't complain, I don't get upset. I'm gonna make it work for me, or I'm gonna create something that does work for me. Either way it go, I'm gonna try to figure it out to win and to do what I'm hired to do and to produce numbers. So this is the Charlotte's concealer. This is her new concealer. She used to have the concealer that was like a twist with like a applicator at the top. That was really messy and it was very, 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 very thick. When it's much nicer, it blends a lot better, and she has more color. And I remember Carol with the K, she's working at the Charlotte counter at the Grove. She met Charlotte because Charlotte was really good about coming to the store and visiting her counters. And I remember before the boutique was open, because now they have a boutique that's open, and the boutique is located at the Grove. Carol with the K told her, like, we need more darker skin products. I believe she told me Charlotte's response was like, I know, I'm working on it. So that was pretty cool that you have someone in a smaller position as well, you know, speaking up, saying that we need more colors to the actual CEO, creator of the brand. Concealer is so pretty and it's still hydrating. Charlotte is 100% about glow. Now, I've seen this on TikTok, but the star that's right here, Charlotte put stars on all of her stuff because someone told her she was going to be a superstar one day. So it's like in the little corner of a lot of her products, and I think they was like saying like it's some type of like witchcraft or whatever, and I was like, I don't know, but that's what we were told when we would go to like the trainings and stuff, because working for the brand, you go to the trainings. And this is the same concealer but just in a lighter shade. Just add that in there. The concealer is a big improvement. As I said before, it's more creamier. It blends well. Older concealer was like just super thick, and I feel like it was very tacky. Love to see it. Now look at this, look at my skin. Doesn't it just look so glowy and flawless? I love her product. Like, even though she didn't have a lot of shades and she's still working on that, to be honest, I like her products a lot. They work very well for my skin type. products, the powder, two of my favorite products. Actually, I have the number 3 powder. The number 3 basically is like a translucent powder, but this, in my opinion, wasn't dark enough for me. So as you can see, I've never really used it. I believe now she has a number 4. When I was working for the brand, there was no number 4 powder. This is the number 2 in medium. So a little quick story. Looking at the counter, and all of my co-workers would use this powder, and there was no powder for me because, as I've said, number 3 for my liking was not dark enough for me, even though it's more on the translucent side. I just was always afraid of a flashback with that powder. So I took this powder one day out of my makeup cart at the Charlotte counter, and I started putting it under my eyes, and I fell in love. I think one of the reasons I love this so much is because of how finely milled it is and how smooth it is. This is much more lightweight, and it's much more of a airbrush look. I've said this before, I feel like, but I'm gonna say it again. Maybe it's just me. I did not see anyone on YouTube. I did not really see girls on YouTube using Charlotte. So I started using it, and I made a video, like a whole video using her products.
Got it, job on it. Did I ever ask you to take me to go shopping in Paris or go sailing overseas and just drape me in Gucci? No. All I ever asked was you to pick up the phone when you alone. All I ever asked was you to show me some love, kiss.
And I started putting this under my eye when I worked at the brand because I had to make the products work for me, as I've said previously. So I brought that to YouTube, and I'm not saying I'm the creator because, like I said, I personally did not see girls who look like me using Charlotte, which is why I started using it on YouTube. It's a really good brand, and they have good products. And this powder is made for the face. This powder is not made for under the eye. Hence why Charlotte just made a powder for under the eye, because she probably saw we were using this powder to put under our eye. Maybe it's just been in works, I don't know. But when I tell you guys, when I start seeing people use this powder under their eye, I was like, yeah, it's a good powder. But also too, I was just like, wow. Like I said, you never know who's watching you, right? Just because you are a small channel doesn't mean somebody with a bigger platform is not watching you. Don't underestimate who's watching you. And that's something that God taught me. You never know who's watching. You're putting yourself out there, millions of people to discover who you are and to discover what you make. So, hey. But this powder is so good under your eye. And I like to always use like a fluffy brush, and I like to just press it under. It was quite a bit because the concealer wasn't as light as I normally like, but yeah. So smooth, and it feels lightweight. I love these powders. Favorite bronzer. It is huge. I've been using it for a minute, and I still haven't hit pan. And I remember in the Charlotte training I went to when I worked for the brand in 2019, they were like, we're about to release a bronzer, and it is massive. And it is massive. This bronzer is big, and I got a big head. Look at it. So I'm gonna add some of this bronzer, and I use the shade number 4. I'm always on the lookout for a good bronzer and a good lip pencil, because there's not a lot of bronzers and lip pencils for deeper skin out there. Let's go into the blush. The blush I have is Sex on Fire. I feel like I purchased the blush Love Is Your Drug. I'm gonna go check for it again because I like that blush. Well, I want to use that blush instead, but I'm gonna add some of that copper matte brown shade underneath my lash line. Add some mascara. This blush is still practically new. This is Love Is Your Drug. I kind of like this blush, but then I also am kind of like, I don't know. Use Charlotte blushes. Swirl, and you pop the middle. Swirl, pop the middle, swirl, pop the middle here. I'm going to really go into that pink shade because I want it to show. This is so pretty. Look at that. I would say if you're deeper skin, focus on like the pink part. Really get in that pink part. That fuchsia color part. So I don't know how I'm feeling. How do you guys like the blush? You think it's pretty? Highlight with this blush. So you actually don't need a highlighter. I like it, but I'm not in love, you know? I want to talk about racism working at Charlotte. Now, if you ever went to a Charlotte counter, especially the ones in Los Angeles, she had like these looks created, and then there was like a model. So a lot of her models would be blonde hair, blue eyes, or like brunette with like maybe hazel eyes, but they would be like the typical European beauty standard. You know, sometimes that would turn clients away. They was like, I don't look like that. Will that makeup look come up on me like that? Are literally the questions I got from Hispanic women, Black women, women of color. And I would just like encourage them. I was just like, look, you can make anything work. Just because it looks a certain way on someone, it may even look better on you. Just don't know. But I didn't like that, especially being a Black girl working there. I didn't like that because it was just shown like the European standard. I didn't like that. It's my opinion right here, because of who she initially dedicated her line to, because she had a lack of shades. So I don't want to say dedicated her line to, but who she initially catered to. And I'm just basing this off of the color foundations that she had. I feel like it brought a certain type of, I feel like the brand attracted a certain type of clientele, and they would sometimes be very rude. I've had people say just like the rudest stuff to me. I even had a man that came to the counter. I would never forget it. Maybe he was getting a gift for someone, or it was just like him and his daughter. They were, I don't know. But he looked at me with like such disgust. He looked at me. I didn't even say anything. All I said was hi, because when someone comes to the counter, you know, you want to greet them, you want to say hi. I just spoke to him. I said hi, and he looked at me like this. He looked at me with such disgust. I didn't say anything, and he wanted help from my white coworker, and it wasn't her fault, you know. He wanted her help. He didn't want anything to do with me. I also had a time where I was doing makeup on this girl. She did not even let me finish. Like, she didn't even let me really. She let me begin. She let me put like one eyeshadow on, and she came there with a MAC inspired makeup look. Charlotte is not MAC, you know, so like the cut creases and stuff is not really Charlotte. You know, you can do it, but you got to pick up a lot of product. And she was not that kind to me, and she literally was like, I don't want, like, she was like, I'm okay, like, I'm fine. Like, she didn't want me to, she like wanted me to stop doing her makeup, and I only put on like 2 eyeshadows. Let my white coworker do her makeup and was like, oh, I hope I didn't make her feel bad. Like, girl, have a seat. Literally 3 minutes after that, I had got another client. I did her makeup, and she purchased $200 for me and stuff, and she loved it. So we had to deal with things like that. And I remember speaking to my other coworkers like, hey, do you guys feel like you experienced this? Do you experience, you know, things like this? And my Hispanic coworker and my Black coworker was like, yeah. They'll walk past us or don't even want our help. Some of these higher end brands like that, they kind of attract these type of clienteles. And these people, they can be anywhere, but I most definitely, like I said, in my opinion, I feel that because of Charlotte's lack of diversity back in 2019, she most definitely attracted a certain type of clientele at times. But I've also had beautiful clients. All the beautiful clients I previously had outweighed every single nasty little character. Okay, so now we're going to get into this Pillow Talk Intense 3. Girl, give Chestnut a break. This liner is amazing, and all of Charlotte liners are waterproof. When I worked for the brand, she only had the shade Foxy Brown. Foxy Brown is nice if you're like lighter than me, but Foxy Brown is most definitely a cool tone brown, and it doesn't really show up. The KKW lipstick, clients will come in and be like, I don't want that lipstick. I was like, okay. So yes, this is the KKW lipstick. I like this color. It's really pretty on deeper skin. With the lip liner, it's the Pillow Talk gloss. Finally, I'm going to tell you guys what I learned from this brand. I learned how to motherfrickin' network. I learned how to network. This brand is where I got so many clients that sat in my seat. I had got a client who worked on the Joker, who worked on the Joker. She became my permanent client. I got a client who worked for Versace, like with Revolve. I learned how to network with this brand because we did so many makeup applications. You got people in your chair, and when you network, you be yourself. You don't just talk to people because of where they are at that moment. You kind of just make genuine connections with people. And I use my talent. You can use your talent to network. I use my artistry skills to network. Like, I learned that. I learned how to properly prep the skin with skincare before you apply makeup. You can get any desirable type of makeup finish if you prep the skin properly. And I learned how to make better sales in different business tactics, different business like keys that I kind of learned, like how to build sales more, how to figure out what is a client going for, how to make someone feel better and they spend more money. Okay, you makes people feel good. Okay, so let's finish off with her party all night, stay all day setting spray. When I worked, they didn't have a setting spray, so I would go to like MAC, I would use their setting spray. And I remember like in training, she's like, Charlotte doesn't have to use a setting spray, she's just make a setting spray. Now she got one of the best ones. This stuff is so good. I love this spray. Does have a little bit of a fragrance to it. Be mindful of that. So thank you guys for watching this video. This was just my honest experience. So I'm happy and I'm grateful I worked for the brand. I got some really cool Charlotte products for free. I got knowledge on makeup, I got knowledge on clienteling, I got knowledge on how to network. I had a phenomenal account executive. I had a great, you know, AE, that's what the account executive is, and it worked in my favor. I was able to work for a brand, learn more, and bring it to YouTube and bring it to a platform. Always love their products. Their products are phenomenal. I love them and they're fun and they give you that Hollywood glam type of vibe, and it's just easy to use and it's very girly, very feminine. Love the brand. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment down below. What is your favorite Charlotte product? How were you introduced to Charlotte? Thank you guys for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Kinda shady, they calling me baby. I know you see in my line, I'm on your mind, and that you want this bad.